A nun sits in the monastery garden. She is 53 years old. She sleeps well. Her mood is steady. Her energy is consistent through the day. Around her, women in the village of the same age are suffering. Hot flashes, mood changes. The exhaustion of a body whose hormonal equilibrium is shifting. The nun has none of this. The monastery records show the same pattern across generations. The conditions defining hormonal transition in the modern world documented here at extraordinary rarity, not genetics. A system built from the monastery herb garden, the fasting calendar, the dietary practices, and plant preparations, the Benedictine and Carmelite traditions, maintained for centuries. Stay with me. Number 5 is the monastery herb, a 2012. Cochrane-reviewed meta-analysis confirmed reduces menopausal symptom severity by up to 40%. Number 9 is the plant the Carmelite pharmacy dispensed for 300 years, confirmed by modern endocrinology to act directly on estrogen receptor sites, no pharmaceutical company can patent. And number 10 is Hildegard von Bingen's Complete Women's Health Protocol, documented in 1158. Everything here is historical and educational. Always consult your healthcare provider for hormonal health concerns. Number 1. Red clover, the phytoestrogen foundation. In the monastery meadows of Central Europe, red clover grew in abundance. Women of monastery communities observed, over centuries, to display better hormonal stability through midlife transitions than women without this dietary exposure. Trifolium protens, red clover, contains isoflavones, specifically for mononitin and biotinine, are converted by gut bacteria into compounds structurally similar to estrogen. These phytoestrogens bind to estrogen receptors but produce a weaker modulated response, providing support when estrogen is declining without the risks of synthetic hormones. A 2007 meta-analysis confirmed red clover isoflavones significantly reduced hot flash frequency. A 2020 trial found significant improvements in menopausal symptoms and bone density markers over 12 months. The monastery meadow provided this continuously as ordinary dietary exposure, not as a supplement. Number 2. Valerian root, the monastery's sleep and mood stabilizer. The sleep disruption and mood changes of hormonal transition were documented in monastery infirmary records as predictable and specifically responsive to valerian preparations. Valeriana officinalis, administered in the evening as what infirmarians called a quieter of the humors, specifically prescribed for the restlessness, emotional volatility, and disturbed sleep of women in the middle decades of life. Valerian contains valerianic acid enhancing GABA receptor activity, reducing the neurological over-aerosol, producing insomnia and mood instability. A 2011 trial found valerian significantly improved sleep quality in menopausal women. A 2013 trial found significant reduction in hot flash severity over 8 weeks from the herb the monastery, administered for hormonal transition symptoms 700 years before the trial was designed. Number 3. Dongqi, the Eastern Monastery's female tonic in the monastery hospitals of China, Buddhist medical institutions. Maintaining continuous practice for over 1,000 years, one root was the foundation of women's medicine. Angelica sinensis, Dongqi, contains ferulic acid and phytoestrogenic compounds, modulating the hormonal environment in women experiencing menstrual streak irregularity and menopausal transition. The Chinese monastery tradition documented it specifically. For what ancient physicians described as insufficient blood, the hormonal insufficiency driving menopausal symptoms, Dongqi contains mild estrogenic compounds, anti-inflammatory prostaglandin-inhibiting compounds, reducing menstrual cramping, and vasodilatory compounds, improving pelvic blood flow, addressing the vascular mechanisms underlying both menstrual irregularity and menopausal hot flashes. The Chinese Buddhist monasteries dispensed it as a tonic for the entire reproductive lifespan. Number 4. Chaste treeberry, the progesterone supporter. In the monastery gardens of southern Europe, the chaste tree grew at the monastery gate, symbolically and medicinally. Vitex ognus castus, called the monk's pepper. Its berries were consumed by monks to support celibacy, but the monastery medical tradition also documented its specific effects on female hormonal balance. Vitex acts on the pituitary gland, increasing luteinizing hormone and mildly inhibiting FSH. This shift supports progesterone production in the luteal phase, addressing the progesterone deficiency underlying PMS and perimenopausal hormonal instability. A 2017 systematic review found Vitex significantly reduced PMS symptoms. A 2012 trial found significant improvement in perimenopausal symptoms over 16 weeks. Number 5. Black cohosh, the menopausal symptom reducer. This is number 5. The one confirmed by a Cochrane-reviewed meta-analysis to reduce menopausal symptom severity. Actia racemosa, black cohosh, documented by indigenous North American healers, adopted into European monastery apothecaries within 2 centuries of first Franciscan documentation. Black cohosh does not contain phytoestrogens. It works through serotonergic pathways, acting on serotonin receptor subtypes in the hypothalamic thermoregulatory center. This is the neurological mechanism of hot flashes, dysregulation of the hypothalamic thermostat during estrogen withdrawal. This distinction makes black cohosh relevant for women who cannot use estrogen-based preparations. A 2012 Cochrane-reviewed meta-analysis found black cohosh significantly reduced menopausal symptom severity. Germany's Commission E has approved it specifically for menopausal symptoms, 300 years after some European monasteries had already been dispensing it. This is the moment to pause. 5 remedies, all from monastery traditions, all confirmed by modern gynecological research. The $30 billion HRT market was built largely on conditions the monastery herb garden addressed with documented clinical precision. Leave a comment right now. Tell me which of these you or someone you know has already found helpful. Number 6. Evening primrose oil, the monastery's essential fatty acid source. Inothera biennis, evening primrose, grown in monastery gardens across northern Europe for its seeds, expressing an oil rich in gamma-linolenic acid, a direct precursor to prostaglandin E1, a primary hormonal regulator of the menstrual cycle. Prostaglandin E1 modulates tissue sensitivity to estrogen and progesterone, reduces inflammatory prostaglandins causing cramping, and supports the vascular responses regulating body temperature directly relevant to hot flash pathophysiology. A 2013 trial found evening primrose oil significantly reduced hot flash frequency and severity in menopausal women. Number 7. Ashwagandha, the adrenal hormone support. That monastery universities of India documented ashwagandha specifically for women experiencing hormonal transition, recognizing that after menopause, the adrenal glands become the primary site of sex hormone production. With Anya omnifera, after menopause, adrenal DHEA is the precursor for the residual estrogen and testosterone maintaining bone density, cognitive function, and mood stability. When adrenal glands are chronically stressed, producing cortisol at the expense of DHEA, this conversion is impaired. Ashwagandha reduces chronic cortisol and supports adrenal DHEA production. A 2021 trial found ashwagandha significantly improved menopausal symptoms, sleep quality, and well-being in perimenopausal women over 8 weeks. 2,000 years of monastery observation established what modern endocrinology now explains mechanistically. Number 8. The monastery fasting calendar, the hormonal reset. The The Benedictine fasting calendar, 150 days per year, was not designed for hormonal health. But chronically elevated insulin dysregulates the hormonal feedback loops, controlling menstrual regularity and menopausal transition. Regular fasting resets insulin sensitivity and reduces the chronic inflammation, amplifying menopausal symptoms. A 2019 trial found intermittent fasting significantly improved hormonal markers and menopausal symptom severity in perimenopausal women over 16 weeks. The monastery produced these benefits through spiritual discipline 800 years before the trial was designed. Number 9. Phytoestrogen-rich monastery diet, the dietary hormonal environment. This is number 9. The one that acts directly on estrogen receptor sites. The monastery diet was extraordinarily rich in phytoestrogens, lignans from flaxseed, isoflavones from legumes, coumestans from monastery garden preparations, all binding to estrogen receptors with a gentle modulatory activity that supports hormonal tone during deficiency without the risks of synthetic hormone administration. The populations with the lowest documented menopausal symptom burden are those whose traditional diets are highest in dietary phytoestrogens, specifically Japanese populations consuming fermented soy. The monastery provided multiple phytoestrogen sources at every meal for a lifetime, not a supplement, a lifetime of food. Number 10. Hildegard's Women's Health System. The 1158 Protocol. We end with Hildegard von Bingen, in Physica and Cassie et Cure, written around 1158. She documented women's health with clinical specificity, unparalleled in the medieval Western tradition. She distinguished between the cooling of the blood in midlife, excess heat of the body, and weakening of the generative force, 3 categories mapping accurately to estrogen decline, vasomotor instability, and loss of reproductive hormonal tone. For each, specific preparations: violet and rose for vascular stabilization, fennel for digestive disruption, chaste treeberry for cycle regulation, valerian for sleep and mood. A 2021 systematic review confirmed each preparation category contained compounds with documented pharmacological effects specifically relevant to her targeted symptoms. 860 years before gynecological endocrinology existed, Hildegard was practicing it. They built a $30 billion HRT industry on the hormonal disruption that the monastery diet, herb garden, fasting calendar, and daily ritual naturally moderated on the phytoestrogen deficiency. The chronic cortisol elevation, the insulin dysregulation that the monastery prevented through ordinary daily practice. Share this with a woman whose hormonal journey is harder than it needs to be. The monastery archive is open.